Good afternoon, this is Quilmes High School from Quilmes, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and we are glad to be participating again in World Speech Day for third time in a row. So this time we invite our first speaker, Constantino, to deliver his speech.
Do not think racism is obsolete. Good afternoon everybody, I'm Constantino Seguetti from Quilmes High School and I'm here to talk about racism. I'm going to start by telling you a definition of racism I found online. Racism is the prejudice, discrimination or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. And I'm going to use this definition to tell you one story. Rahim is an African American 5-year-old kid, and John is an American 5-year-old kid. They used to be friends, but their parents do not let them hang out anymore due to their different races. I think that this shows clearly what's happening nowadays. It is adults who still let racism happen. I mean, where am I going with this? I want to tell you that I think that just saying the word race is discriminating, because aren't we all one race? Aren't we all the human race? Why shouldn't an African American or a Central American or an Asian or someone with a different religion than the people in one country shouldn't be the chairman or the CEO of an important company? And this is not the only problem, because I realize that many times there are African Americans and Central Americans in important job positions, but there are also daily problems that keep racism happening. For example, why is people still laughing about or telling racist jokes? Why should we put people in that position because they are different? I mean, why should we joke about someone's religion or skin color or anything? We shouldn't laugh at them because of being different. So I'm speaking to all of you. It is not only to the people in charge of big, huge companies and important political positions. I want you to stop, because it's not health, it's not natural to treat someone different because the choice that they made, to treat someone different because of its sexual, him or her sexual orientation, or their skin color, their religion, as I already said. So I want to ask you, aren't we living in the 21st century? Aren't we on time to stop with this nonsense? And I want to tell you that I cannot do it alone, but we can do it together. I want you to do it for hundreds of Rahims and Johns all over the world that are separated by some nonsense rules or moral rules that imposed by someone. So, as I already said, I cannot do it alone, but we can do it together. Thank you very much.
What does it mean to love oneself? It is easy to say to a person with low self-esteem, "You are beautiful, you have to love you." But really, is that easy to love yourself? Loving oneself is not just something physical. It is not to love yourself because you're skinny or you're fat. Being skinny does not mean you will have high self-esteem, or being fat does not mean to having low self-esteem. You can have the most privileged face and yet have your self-esteem low on the floor. Why? Because you can feel useless. Because when someone laughs next to you, you feel that the person is laughing at you. You feel replaceable, you don't find anything that motivates you, and millions of other things. It is impossible to feel good about yourself every day. And achieving self-esteem is a long way to go. It is not easy, but it's something worthwhile. The comments of other people towards you will always exist. You're very skinny, you are very fat, you have to eat more, you have to eat less. Your nose is very big, you should be more sociable. Why you dress like that? And almost other many comments. When we make the comments, we believe that what we say does not affect other people. Because we believe that being thin is what is good, it's what society accepts as good. But I say no. You don't have to consider normal to hear your friends criticizing another girl for being fatter than them. What you think? That all skinny people want to be skinny? That fat people are fat because they want to? Don't get used to that. Do not get angry with yourself or your body. Get angry with the stereotype of beauty that society imposes on you and that forces you to comply at any cost. We are all different. The girl next to you, the one you follow on Instagram, is not your competition. What is wrong and what is good? What is wired and what is normal? We must become aware that it's wrong, that it's very wrong to deceive people about their body, or how they dress, or millions of other things that we are accustomed to criticize. We have to stop taking normal comments as, she's so ugly, and laugh at that, because behind the comment, there is a person who is suffering. And your comment hurts, it hurts and a lot. And you don't know how the comment can affect the other person. Worst of all, you will never know, because he or she will never tell you. And she will not tell you because she's afraid of being discriminated against more. When you start to love yourself, everything gets better. But it will not be perfect, because sometimes we all fall. Some days I feel very well with myself. I look at myself in the mirror and I feel beautiful, attractive. And I take photos and I upload them to Instagram. And I hope everyone will see them and put me likes. Other days I don't want to get out of bed or look myself in the mirror. And I don't want to see the photos I got because I think I look ugly, discouraged. But all that finishes. You, who are drawing under the stereotype that society imposes on you, let me tell you, I know it's difficult. Ask for help. Ignore what hurts you. Go ahead and look what really makes you happy. Express yourself and remember that the change begins with oneself. Try everything you need, and when you feel ready, talk. And you, if you ever have made a bad comment about another person, either joking or in a group of friends, do not do it anymore, because it's not right. Change for yourself, for others, and remember that the change begins with you. Thank you very much.
How much do you care about the world you're living in? Hello everyone, my name is Kera Garcia and I'm going to talk about environment and climate change. Would you believe me if I tell you that the most powerful nations are also worst polluters? China and the USA are both world powers, which contribute with innovation, technologies, and amazing products. However, they are also important threats towards the whole planet. The climate change is a complex issue facing us today. And it's difficult to talk about it because it involves ambits like science, economics, society, politics, and moral and ethical questions which are important, but it needs to be talked because it's a global problem. The greenhouse effect is a phenomenon caused by the atmosphere. The excess of this effect leads us to climate change. The abundance is caused by unnatural greenhouse gases emitted to the atmosphere by human activity. The most common example is the burning of fossil fuels to obtain electricity, heat, or transport. In 2015, there was a climate change conference in Paris, where more than 100 countries attended to. The ex-president Barack Obama expressed the urgency climate change has. The power the countries reunited there had to do something about it. And yes, Not too much progress happened till that conference in Paris and nowadays. Obama also recognized the big part the USA has on the matter, and some of the projects that were already underway to help reduce greenhouse gases and global warming. The country's president agreed to keep global warming below 2 Celsius degrees. Nevertheless, not long ago, Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, announced that his country was no longer part of the agreements achieved and signed in Paris conference. He believed that even if all those nations contributed as they say so, only 1 degree would be diminished from global warming, which is totally wrong because the aim of the Paris conference wasn't that. He affirmed that the entire agreement wouldn't bring more disadvantage to his country, would bring more disadvantage to his country, for the benefit of others, leaving American workers and taxpayers all to absorb all costs. This may not mean that much to you, but it is actually important because this is the president of a world power that acts as a role model country to other nations. Many believe that if the USA can do some things, their country can do those things too. Human activity in the past 50 years has a 95% of responsibility for global warming, meaning we increase the carbon dioxide concentration of the atmosphere more than a third since the Industrial Revolution. Anyone can see the climate change happening in Greenland or the Arctic, where almost 152% of the cubic kilometers of ice has been melted. That people is just a glimpse of what children to come will have to face in the future. Submerged countries, fields unable to grow again, excessive floods of desperate people, along with wild droughts and heat waves, as well as stronger hurricanes. No nation, small or big, luxurious or deprived, is safe from the threat caused by climate change. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, young or old, rich or poor, there must be something we can do. With cooperation, effort, self and political willingness, scientific help, there must be something we can do. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "There's such a thing as being too late." And let me tell you, none of us want to be late to this matter. None of us want our children and grandchildren to suffer all the repercussions of the concern we can still take action of. Every hour counts. Become aware of what's happening around you and do something. As Obama once said, let's get to work. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carolina Tengerian, and today I'm going to talk about bullying and cyberbullying. The first thing that we have to know is what bullying and cyberbullying are. Bullying is when someone makes an aggression that can be verbally, physically, or emotionally, when it intimidates or causes damage to another person, the victim. Definition of cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is the act of a person or persons viciously attacking another through the use of electronic media such as email, texting, photos, social media, or video sharing sites. During this time, the person being bullied is initially hurt, which is the goal of the attack. While the attacks continue, they usually grow in intensity because now the bully knows that the attacks are affecting the individual and the bully is winning control. Today's society. Today's society is seeing a dramatic increase, devastatingly bullying and cyberbullying that now has caused the attention of not only schools but parents and even the law enforcement and medical community. The situation is getting so serious that many states are reaching out their communities and suggesting everyone together and educate themselves on the causes of outcomes this all too frequent horrifying behavior. Most people don't realize how big of a problem this is. Bullying is so common in our lives that we don't not even realize that it's happening when it does. We believe it to be something normal when it's not even close. According to the recent studies, 20% of kids have been bullied. 15% of the students report not showing up for school because of the fear of being bullied while there. Over 10% of these kids believe the only way to get away from this aggression is to change schools where they can start over again. But why should these kids be the one changing when bullies roam free all around over the place. The victims don't need to change. We need to do something about it. The harassment doesn't stop by that. We have to stop it, but what can we do about it? How can we help to make violence stop? Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is becoming common on many social networks. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so many other sites experience this. Teens of a variety of ages hide behind a computer screen, feeling they can do whatever they want to and say what they want, and no one will be able to catch them. 45% of teens have been victims of cyberbullying, and 11% have said they have seen it happen. Now, I'm going to talk about what can we do about bullying. The majority of people think that there's no solution, but those are just thoughts. We can solve it and we can even prevent it. Parents, school staff, a friend you trust, your family, they are there. They are there for you. They are there to help you, to cheer you up when you are sad. So keep the lines of communication open. You have to express yourself. If you are suffering bullying or cyberbullying, talk about that. Tell it to someone that can help you with, as I said before, with your parents, school staff, friend you trust, your family, or someone. Just say it, you will feel better, and they are going to help you. The third person, the one who sees it all. In the 30% of cases, bullying and cyberbullying, there's someone who has been the witness of horrible, violent, aggressive actions. If you know someone who is being bullied, don't doubt. Tell it to someone. That will help too much. What can we do about cyberbullying? Everyone has to know that it's not your fault being suffering cyberbullying. You don't have to blame yourself and face it alone. You can help the cyberbullying stop. I have the solution, the perfect trick that will make cyberbullying fall down. It's simple, but strong. Don't stay quiet, express it, tell it to someone, as much as possible to an authority. But you can chase a friend, your dad, mom, sister, brother, anyone who is there for you. You will feel better, and the person, or persons you choose, are going to make something about it. Something that will help a lot is to say the evidence. The hope where the aggressor is going to fall. So say no to bullying and cyberbullying. Let live in a bully-free zone. Thank you very much.
Animal abuse. Hello everybody, I'm Coli Crescinato, and today I'm going to talk about animal abuse and what we should do. I'm being abused by not treating them the way they should, with the proper care and affection. Every day, animals are being abused in some way, physical or not gaining the same affection that normal animals or pets do. Per year in Mexico, 1,866 animals abuse are declared. More than 19,000 were declared in 2015 in Colombia, and that number increased faster and faster every year. So we should do something and help. Animals are being used by companies testing the product that might be dangerous for the health of the animal. And if you ask a scientific why do they experiment with animals, they will say because they are like us. And if you ask another why do it's morally okay to use animals in their experiments, they will answer because they are not like us. In other cases, are used by ordinary people that you see every day, that make them carry heavy things without stopping or eating, leaving them hungry and starving. Another example are zoos that don't take the proper care of the animal, let them die. Don't give them food, water, and other needs that they so what we should do? What I think we can do is donate to some organization that help rescue animals that have been abused and take care of them like we take care of our pets. Or other thing that we can do is stop using animal tested objects, because do we really need them? My answer is no. Other option is adopting abused animals that don't show, to show them some love that they are not being shown all this time. And by using this, we will slow down the number of animals abuse that are happening in this time. And that's all.
Great.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Vittorio Marotti, and the topics I'm going to talk about in my speech are medical trials and organ donation. My speech is going to be delivered in 4 main points that are origins, revolutionizing tech, obstacles, and importance of donating organs. Let's start with the first one, origins. Medical trials have always been forced not to cross an imaginary line. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that in the last couple of years, there were some important discoveries that will help all of the society in a no longer future. These medical trials nowadays are all struggling with ethics, and we refer to it as imaginary line. Nowadays, the thought is stopping them. Let's go with the second point, that is that it's very connected to the origins, and that is revolutionizing tech. A clinical trial was inspired by a post UNOS, United Network for Organ Sharing, made in their website, stating that the number of people that need an organ this number was increasing so fast that they ran out of matching donates. Now, almost 200,000 people are waiting to get their life back. This trial had a main idea: create an organ based on artificial materials. So they made a very wide research and find out that the most needed organ was the heart. So they used artificial materials, as I said, and give it the form of a heart. Then they cover it with mother cells and stimulate them in order to grow heart muscle tissue. In that way, a heart could be created in a lab, and it could satisfy the needs of the society. But unfortunately, when they tested on pigs that are most compared to humans, most of them rejected the new artificial heart. I must remark that all these pigs had a heart issue, so they were not experimenting on any pigs, just with a specific issue. So the obstacle here that I want to remark and have it very clear is that many people doesn't want an organ that is created in a lab, because they think that it is very different from a heart that is taken from another body. But this is not true. Also, the bigger problem here is that many people doesn't want to open their minds in order to help others. What I mean is that they only think on themselves, but they never think on the other. Why? Because many people are protesting against this trial and want the government to shut it down. So this is a great example that people do not want to help others, when this trial, the only purpose of it is to help the ones that are in need of a heart or another organ, let's say. After explaining this, we will think that donating is the most viable option, and that leads me to my third point. That is the importance of donating organs. But donating nowadays is not a good option. Why? Because the numbers of people that want to donate is very low. A great example is Peru. A newspaper called Vital made a research that find out that 1 over a million was a donor. Although things are going well in Argentina and US, now around 70% of people are donors. In several countries, this percentage is very low. The leading continent here is Europe with 4,194 organs per year, but this number is not enough to satisfy the needs. That's why we must approve the clinical trial, such as the one I mentioned before. The country that will benefit more from this trial will be USA. Why? Because they now need 200,000 hearts. There are 200,000 heart patients that need this organ right away, and every hour this number increased by 2%. So this is a matter of your urgent need. All this data was acquired through the health department post and through a doctor I have interviewed, Dr. Mendoza. Man is confronted daily with situations he needs to determine what decisions to make. This is a very important one that will make a huge change in the history of medicine. In conclusion, a new trial appeared in the last few years, and it's a brilliant one. It's going to help those who are in need of an organ transplant, because it consists on cultivating an organ, as I said before, a heart. But the problem here is that many people isn't on board with this experiment, and others doesn't agree to donate any organ. We must all join to help scientists make this dream come true and help millions all over the world. Now we are done. Thank you very much.